What up, CanJam 2022 people that can't be here? We are here live with the one and only Jude right here from HeadFi. Super excited to have this gentleman with me. Honored. First time I actually got to meet him in person, and he's even cooler in person. And any of you that have seen his videos know he is extremely knowledgeable in this world, so I'm really, really happy to have him here with us. Thanks you so much, brother.
Thanks, Marcelo.
Yeah, of course, man. So talk to us a little bit about this year. This has been a fantastic turnout, both in community members as well as in the amount of vendors in this room. It is phenomenal. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, I think we haven't really done the final tally, but it might end up being our biggest show so far ever. Both in terms, obviously in terms of exhibitor count, because it's pretty packed, but also in terms of attendance.
Yeah.
So I think this was one of the stronger shows, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Ethan was saying the same thing. We had Ethan with us yesterday, and he was thinking that this is looking like one of the biggest ones for attendance.
Yeah, it might actually be at this point.
And I mean, it's interesting too to see, like, you have like this cool dynamic with like Odyssey and Focal up front, these like powerhouses and Empire, and I feel like the displays and the booths of the vendors are just like also coming up in a level from the manufacturer that's really cool.
Yeah, the exhibits, I mean, when you kind of consider when we first started doing, it was pretty much tables, and then like table sign, maybe some small signs in the back. I think CanJam Singapore definitely raised the level of the exhibits. They put it, we had to literally, I think we did a height restriction because they were getting big. So yeah, because in Singapore, teams will come in the night before and they literally build. There's like construction crews, they build exhibits.
But they have like high panel like LEDs and
a bunch, you wouldn't believe it, like crazy stuff. So Singapore kind of sets the standard, but yes, it all the shows.
So some of that's trickle down right now.
Yeah, there's an isolation booth over there.
That is phenomenal.
And then there's then the DCS exhibit also has like
isolation booths are really cool. I think that would be sweet I wish they would bring like 2 or 3 of those. That would be cool. So let's talk about a few different things while we're here. So obviously, huge successful event. And by the way, anybody out there that's viewing this right now, we have a few people watching. If you have any questions for Jude or I, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And if you want to still come to CanJam, we're still here. We got 3.5 more hours or so. It's going till 6, and you still have a lot of things you can hear. The brand new Expanse, brand new Utopia.
Is it 6 or 5 on Sunday? I don't remember.
Or maybe it's 5 on Sunday. I don't know.
Check the schedule.
Check the schedule. Double check the schedule.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you still have time and you want to, and you're there, come down and check it out. So you obviously create phenomenal content, and I'm always looking forward to when you put out new videos, especially measurements. When it comes to measurements, I really appreciate your measurements and trust your measurements.
Oh, thank you very much.
And so, and I'm not a big measurement guy, and I never have been. I usually listen by ear. I'm an artist by trade, so I'm kind of more of that artistic brain. But I also know the importance of measurements and being able to read them and understanding, a basics for what that signature might present to me. So tell us about why your rig is different, because it's a super special rig, and and your process, because you do a really good job with it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's very kind of you. I mean, the main fixture that we use, obviously we use ear simulators to measure Headphone, and the main fixture we use is a Brulin Care 5128, and the reason that one is special is because it is the most human-like of all of the ear simulators. So yeah, it came out, I think, 2019. So, and that was after 40 years of the 711 standard. And it is definitely more human-like. It has the full anatomical canal, first bend, second bend, inclined eardrum. The canal actually has a transition as you go further in, closer to the drum, a transition to the harder, bonier condition, closer to the drum. So it's pretty darn human-like.
It's extremely. So it makes a humongous difference. So, I mean, that's obviously a very expensive rig, which is probably why not everybody has it yet. But in all actuality,
but a lot are
that's what I'm saying.
They're
growing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So,
okay, good. So, because to me, in my mind, if we want to have a consensus, we should have the best as the consensus.
Yeah, and a lot of the companies here are using it. I mean, I'm looking around. I know one of our exhibitors has a couple of them. Sick. I mean, I think I know Sennheiser, Odyssey, ZMF.
So the big boys are starting to use it.
And I'm sure there are others here too, but they're starting to go to it,
So really it's more the reviewers that aren't using it at that level.
Well, the reviewers are starting to now, too. Amazing. So I think Linus Tech Tips just ordered one.
I love his videos. He does a great job.
He's got energy, man. And Sam, who was at Ratings, is going to be over there. Good. And so I think they're getting a 5128. Crinical's picking one up.
So it's transitioning. It's really happening.
Oh yeah. Sound guys are doing it. Yeah, that's kind of where everybody's going. So that's a big one. But we also maintain 711 setups. We do have the high frequency coupler for 711, the damped 711, and normal 711, and with a few different fixtures. Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of have to keep that around too.
Yeah. Well, I just know because whenever I watch one of your videos, I remember you reviewed the Stealth and then you compared it to your Stelia. I'm also a Stelia owner as well.
Yeah.
And there's some obviously advantages to the Stealth as far as sound stage and imaging and resolution probably. But the one thing you said that this differentiates, you wanted to bring up a little bass and I'm the same way because I was like, I needed a little more bass because this doesn't have the bass presentation of the Stelia, and I've gotten really addicted to that bass from that Stelia. So anytime I see your videos and I hear you talk about it, I'm like, okay, I know his ears are similar to some of the things I like. So I'm like, when you find somebody like that, you're like, okay, I need to hear what this gentleman has to say. So I think that's really cool.
Thanks, man.
So tell me about, off the topic of measurements and just having fun,
Sure.
What kind of music do you just like to just vibe out and enjoy when you're hanging out?
I pretty much listen to, I listen to almost everything.
Everything,
except for nothing against it, but I don't listen to Two Van Throat singing. I know it's a really appreciated art. I try it, but other than that, I pretty much listen to everything. Okay. So, everything. So, Allison Russell is an artist I've been listening to a lot lately. I listen to a lot of soundtracks. Sure. A lot of classical and jazz. Yeah. I listen to pretty much everything.
You love some Hans Zimmer in your life?
Oh yeah, man. Don't get me started.
Hans Z. Hans Z, baby. He's fantastic. Yeah, I'm the same. I listen to a ton of different stuff. I probably just don't listen to a lot of country music. That's the
I do listen to country.
Yeah, I don't do a ton of country. That's
the more rootsy it is, the more I dig.
I like Willie Nelson, like some of the classic country. That I can dig with more so. But I'm kind of similar in that. Yeah, I guess Ethan went to a Nine Inch Nails concert last night, and I was really jealous. He went with Colin from Chord. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, damn it, why didn't I look at that before I came down to plan that? It is what it is. But
he said it was a good one too.
He did. He did say it was a good one. So what do you see? Any changes in the future for HeadFi in general? The directions it's going? What do you foresee?
Well, our audience is always changing. So
it's always growing.
It's growing. But one of the areas that's growing fastest is our Chinese audience.
Sure.
So our traffic from China is growing. I would not be surprised before long if more than half our traffic ends up coming from China at some point.
Right.
So that's a pretty significant change. So we have to kind of unpack that and understand what that means.
Sure.
And especially right now, given that we can't really do our shows there.
Yeah, because of the lockdown.
Right. So we would like to be able to do our shows there because we have people that we work with in China very closely.
Absolutely, yeah.
But not being able to do the shows is a bummer.
It's disappointing.
Because I know this is a big show, but we were kind of expecting that eventually, our Shenzhen show, which we've never been able to do.
Well, that would be massive.
I think so.
That would be massive.
I think so.
Shenzhen, there's so many products coming out of that area. So
and it's close to Hong Kong, and then the venue. The venue is perfect too. It's almost like a CanJam.
Made it.
Like a CanJam guy designed it or something. It's almost perfect.
Maybe next year we might see some hopeful changes. You never know.
Hard to say. Yeah, hard to say.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, so when you're not listening to music, let's get to know Jude a little bit. When you're not listening to music, you're not, measuring, you're not working. What do you do for fun outside of that? What do you enjoy?
I'm actually shockingly boring. I pretty much go to work and then go home.
That's it?
And when I'm not traveling for work, I like to hang out with my son and my wife.
Very cool. Family. The family's not boring.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of what I'm about,
that makes sense.
So my son just started college, so
that's a big step.
It's a big step.
How about of the headphones you got? Have you had any listening time while you've been here? Not really.
I listened to the Sony WM1Z Mark II because I just wanted to see if the sounded great. I wanted to see if the user interface was fast because I'm looking for kind of a new, maybe a new top player.
Right.
So either something like an SP3000, but I wanted to kind of compare it to the Sony WM1Z Mark II.
What do you think between the two?
Hard to say because I didn't really get to listen with the same earphones and the same music. So But most of all, after you use the SP3000, which is super snappy, it's like really fast.
Yeah, I talked with Owen, and it seemed way quicker than previous.
Quicker. Yeah. So that means a lot, because right now you don't normally get that kind of speed outside of a phone. Because the multi-billion-dollar phone makers, apparently, but theirs is fast. So the Sony seemed, I mean, in what little use I had of the new Sony, it seemed relatively quick. So now it's going to come down to which I think sounds better for me.
It's going to come down to sound signature, but
and maybe user interface.
User interface, I was going to say, and how that works. And then, so the other thing is you get a lot of this stuff early to hear anyways, because you get to measure it and review it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so, I mean, for everybody here, a lot of people are really excited about the Utopia 2022, and then, of course, the Dan Clark Expanse.
Yep.
And they're different signatures, and they're obviously different technologies, but they're both really beautifully made headphones. Yeah. So I think both manufacturers did a really great job. And we just talked to Dan a few minutes ago. And
did you?
Man, and it was interesting. I watched your guys' interview, your video you put out, which was, again, very well done. And Dan's just a smart cat, man.
He is super
He just
sharp.
Knows his stuff.
He does.
So I feel like, do you get a sense that those two headphones are probably right now, like I feel like last year the LCD5 Elite and the Carbon were the talk of the town. And
you're absolutely right.
And this year, do you think that it's the Utopia 2022 and the Expanse that are really...
Yeah, so I would say, those two on the high end are definitely.
And then also the ZMF Caldera, I guess, is pretty.
I haven't even heard that yet.
That
was a surprise to me. And then Warren said, "Hey, we're going to be mentioning the Caldera in the preview." I didn't even know what it was, so I have to go listen to it. I haven't heard it yet.
That room's hard to get into. That's like you need like a VIP card or something.
Yeah, everybody. Every seat was taken. I went in there to go say hi to Zach and Bevan, and every seat was taken.
Yeah, they're crushing it. So they make beautiful headphones always, and they're great guys. Great people. So let's see if we have any questions here. We got. Christopher gives you a shout out and says, "I trust Jude's ears." So,
thanks, Christopher.
I have.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what that
I know the word petite, so maybe it means I'm small. I am short.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's je suis désolé. Je ne parle pas français. So I don't speak.
That's way more French than I can speak.
So if you can do it in English, unless it's really insulting.
Yeah, no insults, please. No insults.
I mean, I see the word petite. So it could mean just Jude is small.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, so let's see. So I talked to Ethan a little bit. He said maybe can't announce it yet, but there might be an extra location next year, hopefully for CanJam. We're not saying where yet because it's not finalized, but maybe. So that's pretty cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, part of that's motivated by the fact that
China, right?
Yeah, that we can't get into China, and so we want to
keep expanding, growing, getting out to the community.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because doing the China shows would maybe keep us from doing some of the shows that we would consider when we're doing them. So now we do have to look at some other places, and we tend to go where the traffic on the website can help support it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, I think our biggest community, no big surprise, California. Second would be New York. Third is actually Texas. Fourth is Illinois, I believe. I have to look and verify all this, so don't hold me to it. But yeah, so I mean, we have to look at other areas. Yeah.
How can, other than attending an event, let's just say it's just not within the financial means of some HeadFiers, CanJam goers to attend an event. How can they show support for HeadFi and CanJam in other ways?
Oh, I mean, really, just going to
the website,
headfi.org. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of places you can go nowadays to talk about headphones, but headfi.org's been around for over 20 years.
It's my favorite place.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And then of course coming to the events, we always appreciate the community coming out to the events because we're trying to make CanJam sort of a living embodiment of everything we talk about in the forums. So yeah, either of those things, they can support HeadFi that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've done a very good job of it because if you look, you have the vendors for the most part wrapping around, and then there's some throughout the middle, but you've also, you intentionally set up space, which you guys can't see right now, but there's space for, HeadFiers and CanJam goers to sit and talk to each other and interact with each other and be part of that community. It's almost like, I guess I was talking about Burning Man earlier because Dan Clark and I have been to Burning Man for over a decade, and like in the middle. Oh, you too?
No.
Yeah, no, me and Dan. Yeah, because I'm from Nevada.
Okay.
So basically, like there, you have what's called a center camp where everybody gathers around, and so like you kind of have something like that created where in the middle of the whole this amazing, atmosphere that has been created, you have a place for everybody to interact, and then of course you see the interaction just happening all around us, and it's just it finally feels like after a couple years that we're finally like back.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's a good vibe, it's a good feeling.
I agree.
So.
But the lounge had to be shrunk a little bit because
because you got so many vendors.
Yeah,
right?
it was sold out a while ago, and then several vendors contacted us asking to get in, and so the only really way to do it was to shrink the lounge.
Yeah,
so
it's still good size though.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. We had all sorts of space last year because we had fewer than half the exhibitors.
It was crazy how that was a whole different world we were living in. It feels like an eternity ago.
Yeah, it sure does.
Okay, cool. So let's see. I guess we don't really know of anything new coming out yet that we can discuss right now, but there's always something new.
Yeah, there's always something
new. Something new.
Yeah,
so always tune in to this gentleman's YouTube channel, and keep on touch of ours too. And you never know what's coming next. What would you like to see if you had like your wish? What would be a product you would like to see?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I'm an electrostatic headphone enthusiast.
Right.
There are a decent number of amps out there for electrostatic headphones. Would like to see more choices, maybe that way, where something maybe I could better afford. Than because the top line amps. I have an amp that I had commissioned. Frank Cooter built it.
Right. I think I've seen that on one of your videos.
Oh man, one of the best amps I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But I mean, having more choices would be fun. So maybe more of that. See maybe a greater adoption of electrostatic headphones as well.
Right.
I think a lot of people need to hear the magic of those. Let's see what else. I'm not really sure. I mean, I look around.
It's hard because there's a lot of great stuff being brought forward. So it's hard to think of anything that you really want more of. It was interesting too. I had a conversation with Sankar about electrostatics yesterday, and we basically talked about the barrier of entry. The same thing you're saying. The barrier of entry to get into electrostats is pretty darn high because you have to spend quite a bit on amplification specific for it.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting to see because I mean, what is the average electrostatic amp is like 4,000 or 5,000, and up.
Or
and up, right? So like entry level is like 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
So and that's on the low end, and then 10,000 or more is probably the more average, right?
I don't know. No, I think 7,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's probably one of the reasons why the barrier of entry.
I'd like to see more choices.
Yeah. And hey, so manufacturers, if you're listening, the man has spoken. Let's get him some options. And what do you have for electrostats?
I have an SR-09.
Okay, that's right. Stacks.
I have SR-07 Mark 1 and 2.
Okay.
Of those three, I probably listen to the SR-07 Mark 1 the most.
Is that the bassiest one? Which one's the bassy one?
So the SR-07 Mark 2, I feel like there's been a couple different versions of it because I've heard them before, like the Mark 1 and the Mark 2, and they were different. Mine are more similar than different.
Different, right.
So I don't really know, so I think there have been some different ones. But I tend to gravitate toward the Mark 1, which I bought used from a New York. I think it was a New York HeadFi.
Nice.
So I love that one. And then, of course, the Shure KSE, the electrostat there. I have a Stax SRL 700, and and then we also have a Sennheiser HE1 at the office as well.
You guys do?
Yeah, we have one of those at the office. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
So that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
You guys are too far away from me. You're on Detroit, I think, right?
We are.
You're way too far.
Yeah.
So what is it you love about electrostatics? Is it the transparency, the openness, the pristine accuracy? What draws you to that sound?
I mean, I think it's the same thing that draws everybody to it. It's just it's almost as if it's a good electrostat, it's almost as if the sound is just in the air.
Yeah, nothing in between you.
Yeah. It's just it's as if the sound is just there. If it's good, and obviously the HE1 for me is the best I've ever heard.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just about the transparency.
Yeah.
they're among the most puzzling because we've measured electrostats before, and like Stax headphones could measure weird.
Right.
But I guess I don't care. I love the way.
At the end of the day, it's what it sounds like.
Well,
right?
the SR07, Mark 1.
Yeah.
I think that measures a little weird. I think I put the measurement out there somewhere before, but I don't care. We did. I think it was the Carbon video. We put the
yes,
I think it was the SR07 measurement.
I remember that.
But I do love the way it sounds. The Carbon, actually,
Carbon's impressive too.
I just listened to it again today, but we have one at the office as well, and really enjoy that headphone. So yeah,
it was. I listened to it last year, and then one other time since, and it's still an impressive electrostat.
But I'd say my most listened to electrostat right now is probably the 007 Mark 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
We carry all that at TSAV. I need to probably just be like, guys, send me some electrostats.
Yeah.
It's time for me to start reviewing some electrostats.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be probably tough to get a Mark 1.
No. Yeah, probably not. But some of the newer stack stuff in the Carbon, because we have a lot.
Carbon's outstanding.
We have that stuff in the store. So I just haven't hit them up. Probably because we have to send the giant amplifier with them too. So they're probably let's see. All right, looks like we got some questions. It says, Anthony Berryman would like to know, at home, does Jude listen to music via vinyl and 2-channel or only headphones?
So, no, mostly not vinyl. I do have a turntable, but it's not my main source there. I used to sell vinyl. The best hi-fi I ever heard was fronted by vinyl. It was a Joseph Audio setup back in 2002. But no, I'm pretty much a streamer now.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good-sized CD collection, but I'm mostly just streaming now.
Streaming's so convenient.
I use Rune.
Yeah, me too.
Because to me the
parametric EQ and the interface.
I use their parametric EQ, but it's also just I'm old enough that I was buying vinyl back in the day, and there was an experience that you'll never get it back.
Yeah.
But it was that experience of when you came home. You take the album sleeve out. You didn't know if it was going to be just a white plain paper thing, or if it was going to have like
beautiful
lyrics. They used to do little Easter egg messages, things like that. And when you'd get that, I could literally read those over and over and over for days, for a year. Just because you'd go back to it. And then it was just the whole idea of saving up for the record, going to get it, bringing it back home. And there's an experiential thing that is
100%.
gone.
Yeah.
But Rune, sure, it can't bring that back, but it brings some of it back.
It does bring some of it.
It's some of it.
The artwork is beautiful.
Else. Yeah, the artwork, exactly.
And
that's
you
the whole
get
point.
so much artist information.
And the information. And then you can go and look at the the credits and everything else. And so for me, lyrics sometimes, I know other players do that, but Rune is probably, and they're not a sponsor or advertiser. But no, I just love that software. So that experiential aspect, again, you'll never get it all back, but getting even some of it back
is nice.
Yeah, man. It's something, I feel like I'm interacting with the music more than when I'm just using one of the streaming services directly.
Right.
So for me, that's an important part of my listening thing. But unfortunately, no, not enough vinyl. I should really do vinyl.
I still do vinyl.
Honestly, like I said, best hi-fi I've ever heard.
But not with headphones. Not with headphones. I prefer not to do vinyl with headphones. Just because unfortunately the reality is you're still getting some surface noise for most records, even with your static electricity guns and cleaning the records with special mobile fidelity solutions. You're still getting some surface noise. And I don't want to hear that via headphones. Now on my Sonos Faber speakers, I don't care. What I mean? It's a different story, but I still do vinyl for all the things you just said. And the one extra thing is for my daughter. She's 4 years old. We have that ritual together.
Right.
We take the record over.
That's groovy.
We put it on. We drop, she watches it all. She watches it spins and her eyes light up. And then I pick her up and go sit on the couch and she's just...
I dig.
For 2 minutes, she'll sit next to me and then she starts dancing.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's part of that too. So I'm kind of building a little future music lover,
Good for you, man. My son likes using the turntable as well. But it's not my main source right now. And to answer the second part of the question, on 2-channel, I'm embarrassed to say right now I'm not running a 2-channel setup at home. I have some Paradigm speakers. I actually have a Devialet Devon. It's their new soundbar. But no, I'm not currently running a dedicated 2-channel system at home that would rival my headphone
primary
stuff.
headphone listening.
Primarily headphones.
Good questions, guys. Okay, and it says, what do you like?
Oh, I think that's the French one.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that. Oh, he wasn't insulting.
No, I didn't. I was just teasing. I didn't assume so. Maybe.
Something when you ask what you do like to do. Oh, in French, it's just saying.
It's like my.
Oh, okay, I see. When I ask you what you like to do, that's what you're saying.
Okay.
I got it. We get you last, Rhino.
I don't. Let's see. Then there's. Do you find it difficult to balance objectivity and the need to give new products a certain exciting launch? Would you ever do a negative review video for launch? Well, I wouldn't. Okay, so that's actually a fair question. So for example, for this the Utopia one that we did, I probably we were in a pretty big rush for that.
Sure.
I hadn't slept because we were doing the preview.
Yeah.
We did Expanse. We did this.
Preparing for this.
Right. Preparing for this event. And so we put it out. I was pretty much half asleep when we recorded that. But the one thing when I watched it again, I was like, one of the things I think that would have been important to cover that I didn't cover was the price. Right. Just because it's it went up.
Yeah.
And I probably should have talked more about that or at all about. We don't typically do price in our videos anymore,
sure.
But I think it was relevant in that one. I should have included that discussion. The reason we don't do price is it's not
it's subjective.
No, we used to Yeah. We used to do price, but what happened was we put out some videos where we got the price wrong, and then the vendors got it. Especially
and it's always changing too.
So then we can't fix it in the video, and now YouTube doesn't allow you to put. I don't think they allow you to put. Remember they used to allow you to annotate.
you could put stuff.
But you can't do that
now.
anymore.
You can only do one edit, and if you do it, you can never do anything again.
But anyway, so we stopped doing price because we messed up too many times on prices, especially in preview videos. But for Utopia, I think that would have been. So to answer let me answer the question. Would you ever do a negative review? No, not so super negative because I don't have time to listen to something I don't like.
Yeah.
So we listen to. You have to understand that I don't talk about much. I don't put out enough content, and I don't really have a lot of time. Right. So if I listen to something I don't like it doesn't motivate me. And listen, I appreciate those that want to do that.
Yeah.
All the power to you. But for me, if I don't like it, I just generally stop listening to it.
Yeah.
And if you think about how much, you can imagine we probably interface with more product than the average community member.
For sure.
And I don't really talk about a lot of it.
Yeah, you're very specific.
So, to the extent that I'm going to put content out there, I don't like being on camera, first of all. You had to calm me down.
I had to twist his arm to get on camera with us guys.
So to get in front of the camera, I have to be excited about what it is.
Sure.
And we'll talk about it, whether it's a sponsor product or a non-sponsor product. Obviously, given the specificity of the space, there are a lot of the companies that we all like their products that happen to be sponsors. I mean, we're a pretty targeted site.
Yeah.
So if you're making something for this community, it shouldn't be so shocking that they might advertise.
Right.
That said, I do understand the conflict of interest discussion. And here's what I'll say to anybody concerned about that. It's a reasonable concern. And if for any reason you don't, that's enough to say, because it's a real concern.
Sure.
I don't trust his opinion because the fact that they pay him advertising, pay HeadFi advertising money and Jude owns HeadFi, then I would say I totally respect that.
Yeah.
No, for real. I mean, it's like...
No, I get it. I have a different take on it, though. So, I would say I put faith in a person's character and also from what I view and what I hear. And you've never given me any reason in any of your videos to ever doubt your character and the information that you provide. However, I won't say that about other reviewers out there, and I think that's where that whole shilling thing came into existence. But I think but I also agree, I'll tell you what, when I have to review stuff and I don't like it as much, sometimes I have to do it. It's my job. And I try to spin some stuff as far as what are the positives about the product and what are some things I don't like about the product. I always say both, because not everything is bad about every product, not everything is good about every product. But generally those reviews are much shorter than my other reviews.
Right.
And the longer review content I usually do is because I really fucking love the product. Excuse my language.
I wasn't sure if I was we were allowed to curse. But anyway, no, I'm with you, man. Again, everybody has their thing, and I can totally respect that. If somebody's like, I don't respect his opinion but I won't lie about something.
Yeah, you can't.
That if I say I like it, I like it. If I think it sounds a certain way, I mean, if you think, for example, I've misrepresented the way something sounds, then you can post that, right? You can say, I think the guy's deaf. I don't get a lot of that.
No,
but there's a lot, because I feel reasonably comfortable. I've made some bad calls in the past, especially when I was new, when I was early on. You get caught up in the excitement. Maybe being around a long time, you kind of, it evens you out a little bit with respect to that, because I think so. It helps you deal with the new toy syndrome or the new product syndrome more. But again, I totally respect that. If somebody says he's getting paid, I don't, and the company whose product he's reviewing is getting paid, buy them for that. I get it. If you don't want to take my word for it, I totally respect your views. But I just want you to know, whether you believe me or not is your call, that I don't lie about the product or how it sounds. If I say it sounds good and I describe the sound a certain way, that's an easy one to call out, right? If I describe the sound a certain way
and it doesn't sound like it, then it's obvious.
You get it and you're like, we said it would.
Well, that's why I said early on in your videos, I hear the same things you're hearing. Right. So that's why once I find somebody that I'm hearing similarities to what I'm hearing, then I know I can put faith in that. And that's what I think a challenge is for anybody that creates content. If we're not displaying the same things you're hearing, at least close to it, obviously there's difference in the way people hear. I get that, but that's probably a telltale sign. So let's look at the next question. So great question. And sorry about my language earlier. What are your 2 most listened to headphones? I think we kind of already covered that. The stacks.
Well, sort of. We talked about Electrostats, but I've actually lately been listening a lot to the Sennheiser IE900, because I've been using in-ears lately.
I love the IE900.
I love the IE900.
I reviewed those and I like those
those
a lot.
Those are phenomenal. That's kind of like, I was actually talking to Critical about this, we were talking about single driver, multi-driver in-ears. Anyways, I won't give that away, because I think he might be doing some content about that. Anyway, so I like the IE900. I also like the Sony IER M9.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I
haven't heard that one yet.
Oh,
no. Sweet.
I don't think I have it with me, but that's a really good one. And they have the IER Z1R, which I also have. But personally, I prefer the IER M9.
9 better.
Yeah, and then QDC and VX I've been listening to a lot.
Okay.
That's what I brought with me today to evaluate anything that I have.
Test gear.
Yeah, the only thing I plugged it into so far is the Sony.
Yeah.
And that was brief. And then as far as over-ears go, I actually, one of my favorites is still the Odyssey LCDX.
Yeah. I just reviewed the 2021. Yeah, it's great.
I'm going to have to watch that. But
I did it versus the MM500. I did a comparison, because all the rage right now is the MM500.
I love the MM500.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I'm thinking tonally between the two. I'm probably more an X guy. But I find the MM500 more resolving. But tonally, the X is probably more me.
I found the LCDX to be a more enjoyable for musical listening, and I found the MM500 for me to be a better tool for video editing and video production, to hearing.
I can hear that. I can get that, even though I don't do that kind of stuff.
That was kind of my thing.
I understand the use case.
Yeah, that was my thing for me. But I think they're both great headphones, and I think the MM500 just has just a bit. Maybe much in the upper mids comparatively to the LCDX for my listening.
I EQ a lot of stuff down in the upper mids anyway.
Yeah.
So
the soundscape, I think, or soundstage of the LCDX is still a fun one. It feels to kind of like, you put it in the middle of it, whereas the MM500 is kind of out in front of you a bit. So I don't know, little things like that. But I think they're both great headphones. I like them both.
Yeah.
Let's see. He just went over his IEMs at present, I believe.
Yeah, I talked about that.
And so thank you, Anthony, for that question. I think a lot of people would like to see a new flagship.
I would love to see a new flagship Sennheiser. Okay, that I'll say. So,
I think a lot of people.
I don't think that's coming anytime.
I don't think so either.
If you're talking about like, maybe he's not referring to so much the HE1. Maybe he means like a new dynamic flagship.
I'm thinking more like around HE800S upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I'm thinking something. I'm thinking something in that range, or maybe like a step above it, but not like HE1 level.
No, understood. Yeah. If it was HE1 level, then maybe another 20 years. But but as far as a new flagship dynamic, yeah.
And then we got Sonic Visions asking us if we've heard of Warwick Apiero.
No, Aperio. It's
yeah.
right there, and I intend to listen to it. So I've heard it before, super briefly, but I want to hear it now because a lot of people are kind of going gaga about it.
And he's asking if Utopia 2022 is your most favorite headphone right now besides the HE1.
I will say it definitely ranks. And it's in that top tier. It's so good.
Yeah, I listened to it this morning before the room filled up.
Yeah, it's so good. I can still use a touch more bass, but it's really good. That's one area of the Expanse definitely.
Did you listen to it on a tube amp though?
Yeah. We have tube amps.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, you had it early. What am I talking about? Yeah. I was thinking of. I thought you meant here.
Yeah.
I listened to it on one of Justin's from Amps and Sound. Whew. thing.
Yeah, just
it had some bass in it just from that.
I have an Amps and Sound amp, one of his older ones.
Yeah, his amps are fun. All right, let's see. Yeah, Christopher's talking about artwork and liner notes are a big part of the experience.
Yes,
of records.
they are. Yeah, I miss that a lot.
Somebody's singing to you.
Yeah, somebody's singing to me.
We already talked about speakers already.
Yeah. Have you heard the Bravura? What's the Bravura?
I have not heard the Bravura.
Oh, that's the new. I have not heard the Bravura. I think I mentioned it, but I haven't heard it. So we have the System 1, but I would like to hear the Bravura since I think it works with that very amp. So no, I haven't heard the Bravura yet, Udi. So hopefully I get to hear that. Actually, hopefully that's over there. So,
it might very well be. And then we'll take a few more questions. And it says, Jude, have you heard the Shangri-La Senior?
Yeah.
Thoughts on that one?
Obviously, I think that's one of the greats. I prefer the HE1, but I think the Shangri-La is certainly one of the greats. The Headphone itself, if you can find an amp to drive the Headphone itself, I don't know if they might sell the Headphone separately, but we've plugged it into a bunch of other things. Yeah. And we had to do that because the first time they sent a Shangri-La to us, it unfortunately got
damaged and shit.
Yeah, really badly. Because I think the person who used it before us, it was like a reviewer to reviewer thing. I think they forgot to put the foam in the lid.
Oh no!
And so it was bouncing inside the case, and it was not in good shape. But the Headphone worked, so we were just like plugging in everything that we had that we could.
But the amp was destroyed.
Yeah, but I've heard it at the shows. Yeah. But plugging it into other amp, man, that Headphone is sick. Yeah. So the Shangri-La Senior Headphone is pretty sick. But if you're not careful, like I've heard it in other setups, like where it was kind of brightish.
It didn't sound right.
Yeah.
The synergy was off.
Yeah, but man, is that crazy resolver. So yeah, I've heard the Shangri-La. HE1 is still my favorite.
It says, have you ever listened to any new bone conduction headphones technology, or is it still too early in its infancy?
Bone conduction. No, I have heard bone conduction consumer market stuff. And I think I'm guessing, I'm not an expert on the whole bone conduction thing. I think that would be somewhat bandwidth limited, but I could be wrong. I wasn't crazy about the things I've heard so far, but I don't know that anything I've heard would be state of the art. We're talking, I don't remember the brand.
I've only heard cheap stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that you can get at wasn't one of them like Rock Shots or something? I don't remember. Anyway, don't hold me to the brand.
I've never heard anything on the super high-end level. It's just stuff I could walk into like a big box store and buy or listen to. But I know they're popular with a lot of people. Yeah. But I haven't got there. Yeah. Personally. Says Jude, do you think headphones or IMs will ever match or beat the soundstage size and realism of speakers?
Okay.
If so, how long will it take to get that tech?
To answer the question, I'll answer that question. He says, will we need DSP to do it?
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt.
It's going to require DSP. And to answer the question, that's totally doable at some point. It's actually doable now. So if you have a Smith Realizer, that's a freaky system.
Right.
So Sonic Visions, who wrote the question, if you're really interested, you can get a true out-of-head experience with the Smith Realizer. So the first time I heard it was the first version of it at the Fort Lauderdale CanJam 2008. And that was the first one that they called CanJam, actually. And that one freaked me out because everybody was asking me, did you hear the new surround system? Did you hear that surround system? And I was like, I don't really do the surround thing. And they're like, no, you don't understand. You got to really hear this. And then I ended up sitting at dinner because we had this kind of CanJam dinner. We don't really do that anymore, but we had this CanJam dinner. And I sat with the Smith family. And so I asked who they were, and they said, and I said, are you guys surround? Everybody's asking me if I heard it.
Right.
What's the big deal? So we actually had to get somebody from the hotel to unlock their exhibit because it was after hours, and they said they wanted me to do it. So I sat down. They calibrated for my ears. So that's what it's going to take. I'm thinking is custom HRTF. I'm not an expert in the field. I think that's going to be the only way that's probably going to be doable. So that's what they do.
Right.
So they do the custom HRTF, and they had it calibrated such that there's a tilt sensor, and then when you took the headphone and tilted it down, the speakers would come on. And then when you put them on, the speakers would cut off, and they had it volume matched pretty darn closely. Yeah, this was super trip. So I sit down, and I still remember it was Todd Green from Todd the Vinyl Junkie, TTVJ, was in the room with me because his exhibit was next door, and he wanted me to hear it too. And so he's standing off by the doorway, and they calibrate for me, and then I put it on. No. I listened to the speakers first. So like, put the headphones on. I put them on. The speakers cut off. The headphones come on. But they had it volume matched enough. And then the room was completely recreated. I literally, for the first time, didn't believe
that it was happening.
You
I thought there were speakers in the room.
Correct.
Yes.
And so I look at Todd. I go, "Are they BSing me, man?" And he's like "No, Jude, the speakers are cutting off, man." And I said, "Are you serious? I feel like I was being punked."
Yeah.
And so I did it again, and then I realized, like, because when you did it, you can hear cutting. And so if you want a true out-of-head experience, and you want to capture your system, you can do that with a Smith Realizer to some degree.
Realizer.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's SMYTH. Yeah, I think one of the Smiths is the guy who, if I'm not mistaken, again, don't hold me to it, that founded DTS or something like that.
Wow.
And that is a crazy system. I have the latest version. I bought it from their Kickstarter, but we have like not done the setup on it yet.
Yeah.
I don't really have any easy way to do it. My house is very small, and I just said I don't really have a 2-channel setup to capture.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is take it to some of my favorite hi-fi stores where I know like the owners. So
next time you're in town, take it to Jason.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Next year, CanJam SoCal, Jason will hook you up. Dude, you could do it off of like one of the big $400,000, $500,000 systems or whatever.
There you go. And then I can take it home with me and tell Jason that thanks for the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Sucker. But anyways, no, I'm teasing. But anyways, no. So I don't know how well it captures. Obviously, the physicality is not going to be there.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if you can get close with some headphones or IMs or something, that's pretty incredible. Great question. I just learned a whole bunch of new stuff.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, Smith Realizer.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well. I don't know about anything new from hi-fi coming.
I don't either.
So, I mean, I can't comment on that, but I think with that, I think we'll call it, man. That was great. You were fantastic to hang with. That was really fun.
Thanks,
and thank you guys for all joining us, and we appreciate you watching. And stay tuned. It's 3:15-ish or so, and I'll probably stream a few more times today. So keep watching. If you are in the Southern California area, don't forget to stop by CanJam. There's still some time left. You got to hear it. It's ticking, though. It is ticking. It is ticking.
If you're in Irvine, definitely come.
Yeah, if you're in Irvine, get here quick. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.